Hello, Journey friends, and welcome back to this week's Along the Journey. I am coming to you from somewhere I have never been in my entire life. The back seat of Big Blue. Gosh, I was just thinking, we acquired Big Blue when my oldest daughter was 2 years old and my youngest was a month old, a newborn. And of all the hundreds and thousands of times I'm sure they've been back here, they're now 27 and 25. I never have. So what have you? maybe I should try to catch a ride back here someday. But as I close my eyes, I can think about those times. I can think about hearing the laughter and the chatter. Very little bickering, but the laughter and the chatter and the storytelling and the singing. Maybe it was on one of these long drives for vacation or to family or relocating from one state to another. Maybe it was just driving them around town to practice every Tuesday and Thursday for dance or every Monday and Saturday for volleyball or whatever it might be, their friends, carpooling them. Some wonderful destinations where we were able to carpool our children in the morning with their friends. And I can still hear them back here. And as I listen, I can hear them talking about stories. I can hear them telling about Simba the lion or Buzz Lightyear or Nemo the fish or singing Bible songs. Maybe he's got the whole world in his hands. And, I know they didn't realize it at the time, and I certainly didn't. But as they were just carrying on those particular stories and songs, they were actually using a device that we see throughout Scripture. It's a device that we're going to look at this week in Journey, and it's one we need to be careful about, but it's one we need to understand why we use it, and that's the idea of an anthropomorphism. Woo, a tongueful. Anthropomorphism. Look it up and try to say it 3 times. Yeah, so that's really the idea of when we attribute our human, physical, mental, emotional characteristics onto something or someone who is not human. And so this week in Journey, we're looking at week 2 of knowing God, and last week we looked at the sovereignty of God, His absolute power. This week, we're looking at the spirituality of God, His absolute presence. So this week, Blue Year, Section 3, Unit 2, we're looking at the spirituality of God. All within this unit on knowing God and His supreme being, His supremacy. And so we're going to look at 3 key things this week. The first one that I would recommend is that you look in the truth at these theological terms. They really help us understand. They help us set aside our tendency to anthropomorphate God and know Him for who He truly is and what He truly is. That He is spirit. John 4:24 would say He is spirit, and we need to worship Him in and as spirit. And so the 3 terms we're going to be looking at, the first is omnipresent, that God is He is in all creation. He cannot be contained. And then in that, He's also transcendent. He is above all and over all. And then finally, we're going to be looking at His immanence, that He is within all. He is permanently pervading all things. And so as you look at these 3 things, you're going to start to see that God is over all, in all, and through all. And that's who God is and what He does, and that's how we get to know Him and understand who He is better. And then the second part, second key item this week is really the so what of that. It's still in the truth section, but what do we do with that? What are the 2 primary reflection points or actions or responses we have as a result of God being over, through, and in all things? And 2 of the things that are suggested are really that, one, it encourages us that He is always present. In all of our times of need, we can turn to Him, and He is constantly over, through, and in us as well. And the second, though, should be convicting. It should be holding us accountable, knowing that we can't hide from God. And so look at those so whats to understanding God's spirituality this week. And the third item, we just progress in this conversation, really. Who is God? How do we respond to Him? And then the third item is the equipping section and these questions about, so what does that mean to us? And allows you time this week. There's only 2 questions with a lot of white space, asking you to reflect on, your current need in prayer, and that knowing that He is constantly right here with you. Write those out. Share those thoughts and feelings on paper. Share them with your group. And then secondly, really asking you to reflect, again with a lot of white space, what is your natural tendency when you do something that you know is disobedient to God and what God would expect? If it dishonors God, what is our natural tendency relative to trying to hide? And think about that, talk about that. Wonderful, wonderful week. Again, this section is about really simplifying these sometimes churchy words that we hear, because they truly define and help us understand and worship and live out what God would have us live out for Him. So I do hope that you have a wonderful week along the journey, understanding God's spirituality, and maybe I'll see you out there, although probably not from the back seat, unless someone would like to offer me to drive around. Have a great week, friends. Blessings.